Hello everyone, welcome to episode 35 of the Gretch Afternoon Drum Break. I am coming to you all the way from Aurelia, Ontario, Canada, 90 minutes north of Toronto. You're going to be sick of hearing that, I'm really sorry. And I want to welcome everybody. Please tell us in the comments from where you are watching. We have a whole lot of folks all over the globe that watch us. Hey, we've got Lena and Gretch here. I'm not sure if that's one and the same, but today is 35 weeks in a row that I have been here on a Friday afternoon, and after today I'm going to have a couple of weeks break because Christmas Day falls a week from today, and then New Year's Day, so we will not be having episodes then. And 8 months ago on April 24th we had the inaugural guest, Mr. Paul DeLong, as the guinea pig for the first series of interviews of Gretsch artists. And I am excited today to have Mr. Alvino Bennett. Hey, and Mr. Mike Fasano is here, the great drummer from Tiger Army and great guy, and what a wonderful drum chat we had a couple of months ago already. Mike was wonderful and loved seeing his Instagram posts, and I am waiting for Alvino Bennett to be live here so that I can send him a request to join me live on this video. I have a lot of questions to ask Alvino, and man, I'm telling you, last week Jesse Leibovitz was amazing, and I can't stop thinking about his bagels. So I encourage you, check it out, Sherm's Bagels. Check it out on Instagram, social media. He is Toronto based, and I'm hungry for bagels. I really am after seeing that. And he was really a terrific guest, and it was an absolute honor and a pleasure. And we are still waiting for Mr. Alvino Bennett. And the more that I read about him and dug deeper into his catalog and his past, I was, hey, there's Jesse. I was just blown away at the amount of people and the most incredible, iconic group of artists he has played with, and he has been a Gretsch artist for many years. So I am hoping Alvino is going to join us shortly here. But if you could let us know where you are watching from, that would be amazing. It gives me an idea as to where certain folks are, and it would be really great for me to know that, just to kind of see where the reach is. Next year, I have already got some guests booked, and I'm telling you, folks, you are going to flip at some of these people who I will be chatting with. And I do want to thank the Gretsch family, Fred, Dinah, Andrew Shreve, and my good friend Lucas von Gretsch, Fred's nephew, for connecting me with these wonderful Gretsch artists that I've had the pleasure of speaking with this year. 34 of them, and it's amazing. I have notes for every one of them, and occasionally will watch past episodes, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this little tidbit. And yesterday I had a fabulous lesson with Mr. Joe LaBarbera. It was incredible, talking about the COVID capital of the world. Mr. Mike Fasano, all the way from Los Angeles, California, COVID capital of the world. I think it's Ontario is probably not too far. But getting back to my Joe LaBarbera, it was wonderful doing a Zoom lesson with him because he is in California as well, and lucky you, enjoying that great weather. And better than I'm looking at snow out here, and it's not super fun. And I still do not see Alvino Bennett. Sir, if you are out there, please click on and watch the video like we did at our little rehearsal yesterday. That would be amazing, and we can get started, and I can start picking your brain about your past. I know you were born, grew up in Chicago, and moved to LA in 1975, which was a long time ago, which means you have enjoyed some amazing weather and palm trees. Much, much more than I have. So, if anybody has, oh, here we go. Are we Yes, I'm just trying to see. Mr. Bennett, are you out there, sir? Wow, this is fantastic. A whole lot of... Hey, Nicholas, where are you? You're in New Mexico. Mr. Nicholas Lucero, who is helping us out here on the program in the future, and by working with us to do some kind of a nice little logo. And I am sending our esteemed guest, Mr. Alvino Bennett, looking forward to chatting. You declined? I don't want you to decline. Hey, I'm waiting for you to join and we can chat. And this is always fun. Iowa City and Alvino. Oh, Alvino is your cousin. Very good. And Mr. Lucas von Gretsch, where are you from, sir? You are in Denmark. I am waiting for Mr. Bennett. And we're connecting. I'm going to turn my volume up here. Folks, this is live without a net.
There we are.
There you are. How are you, sir?
Yes, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Even better now that you're here and we can get started. And this is wonderful stuff.
Yeah. Oh, look what you have on.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, no, of course. Yes, we've got to sport it. Most of my clothing
Yes.
is Gretch related. I might have a problem. That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Alvino. Where are you? You're in Los Angeles, are you? Or are you whereabouts in California are you?
I am in a place, little town called Ojai, California.
Oh, okay.
It's about an hour and a half north of Los Angeles.
It's beautiful there.
Yeah, it is.
It's beautiful anywhere where it's warmer than it is here. It's
I know.
It's cold. It's cold. I think we talked about that yesterday. So, what have you been doing with yourself since March?
I have been loving life here with my family. My fiance and my stepdaughters. We've just been hunkering down. I have been making a lot of music, writing, working on my next project. I am also producing, also doing some producing and co-producing on a few different artists. Yeah, that's basically what's been happening.
Well, that's good.
No road trip.
No, and I think you probably figured it out early on that things were going to be a no-go for traveling and for live gigs. So, like a lot of folks, we transitioned into doing something that we could do from home. And I see you've got a nice little setup there, which is great.
Yeah, I have my Pro Tools thing set up here. I have a small little space right now. We're in the process of looking to move in with it probably within the next year or so. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'm doing drums from here. As I said, I've done some sessions from here. I guess where you send stems out to people, and some guys I work with in Northern California that I work with. I send drum stuff. I also send certain hand percussion things that I do for them up in this place called Santa Cruz, a company by the name of Need to Know Music. And so I've been working with them for the last, I don't know, man, 4 or 5 years or something like that. And a lot of fun. It's totally different side of my playing, as a matter of fact, and the sounds also. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, being home with the fiance, who's also she's an artist. She paints. She's doing a script right now, and it's just wonderful. And it's actually really kind of cool being home for a little while, because I think, as a lot of people may know, I've been doing this here well over 50 something years. And I've been on the road since I was like, I don't know, 13 or 14 years old. And I'm 67 now. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's
That's
kind of cool having sort of a vacation, but I mean, these are definitely, uncertain, tough times right now, but
right. If it
try,
if it
try,
wasn't for the lack of it, then it would be welcomed. But that's an awful
yeah.
long time to be playing drums, and I would never guess you to be 67. I'm not kidding. Like I would figure if I were to look at you, I think 53, 54. You're youthful, and man,
uh,
you look like a rock star.
it's
You look
it's
like
it's the music that keeps.
yeah,
Well, you should see my mom. My mom's 85 years old, and she looks like she's probably 50 or 60. I mean, she's in Chicago still, and I
right.
speak to her like every day, and if not every day, every other day. And if I don't speak to her, she calls me and threatens me she's going to be on a plane coming out here. So,
I love it. That
but other,
uh,
yeah, yes, it's great. But
that
yeah, I'm doing the thing. Um, just music, music. Yeah,
good for you. Now
with a
let's
bunch of
start it
wonderful,
back in
wonderful
Chicago.
people.
Yes.
Chicago, yes.
Yeah.
Uh, Different parts of Chicago. West side, north side, south side, and um, at the age of about 10 or 11 years old, my auntie got me an audition to get into the drum and bugle corps. And had my little big 12 by 15 marching drum, or as we called it back then, field drum. It was so
Yeah.
big, and with my little orange strap on, and we would do parades in our neighborhood. We would walk like 10 blocks one way and come back 10 blocks, and it was just so wonderful to do that. And it was just before school would let out for the summer, so we'd do like a little parade or something, and that was so wonderful. And then I guess about a year, 6 months or whatever it was later, um, I got my first drum kit, and it was a red sparkle drum kit, and they came in this big
Oh,
gigantic box. Yeah, it was so cool. But it was from Sears, and I have some pictures someplace, probably on Facebook someplace, and um, myself and a few other drummers in Chicago, we did not sit down to play drums. We stood up because just the way the drum kit was made. It was like a snare drum, a mounted tom, and a bass drum, and then it was a cymbal right on the bass drum also. So it was a
wow.
weird kind of thing, but we stood up to play our drums at that time. And so I had no hi-hat, no drum throne, and it was just, all around Chicago playing on that drum kit I was very proud of. Um, my dad got me that drum kit. It was for Christmas. And after a few years, my mom scraped up the money to get me my first real professional kit, which was the Ludwig Silver Sparkle kit. And
Beautiful.
Ludwig, Gretsch, Rogers, Slingerland, and Camco were like the drum kits to have back in those days. And just all the drummers had those drum kits. Um, um, but if you had a Gretsch kit, you were like a great player. And the reason why you're a great player because you're a jazz player and you had like all this technical stuff down. And those drums are like amazing, and still they're amazing.
Yeah.
But I didn't know at that time, what treasures they were. And I'm not saying that because I'm an endorsee, because years later, I got a chance to play some drums, and the guy had loaned me the drums, and I was like so in love with them. But he decided he was going to go back and play, so I had to give the drums back to him. It was a black set of the Nitron Black, the covered
Mhm.
drums. But anyway, back to the other thing. Yeah, so it was doing that for all those years, traveling up and down the road with this one particular band out of Maywood, Illinois, called the Aragons, and those
Ah,
guys took
yeah.
me in, and that's when I got the first the silver Ludwig drums, and we were traveling around, and were a horn band at the time, a funky horn band, and there was this guy in Chicago, a badass, by the name of Baby Huey. And there was a group called Baby Huey and the Babysitters. And Baby Huey was like this guy who probably weighed 300 something pounds. And he could move faster or just as fast as James Brown across the stage. And they were a
Wow.
great band. But Baby Huey had some problems with certain things, and he had to cancel gigs. So we would go in his place to travel like to Ohio and Massachusetts and places on the East Coast. And play these really weird clubs that were owned by mobsters.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but that was the big thing back in those days. And so that's when I got my taste of being on the road. And we would travel in in this van, which had no seats in it, except for the driver's seat and the passenger seat. So we would take all the gear, face it down, and we would get our mattresses. And that's how we traveled from Chicago to Indiana to Ohio, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, all those places, sitting on mattresses or laying down. But when you're, 14, 15, 16 years old, who gives a diddly squat about all that? You're out there, you're playing, you're having a great time. Who really cares about the money? You're having a great time playing for people, and you
Wow.
got $15 or $20, man. That was like the best thing in the world, So that's my story on it, starting to travel at that young age.
That is ridiculous. Or when my son started playing gigs and playing out late, he would have been 15, and
Okay.
he lived with his mom at that point. And this is only 5 years ago, and
Okay.
I couldn't believe he would get in at 1 a.m. on a school night that his mom would let him. I don't even think I would have, but his mom, which I was really surprised, was cool with it.
Yeah.
And this band they didn't last very long, but they were great. But what a great experience. And they make for amazing stories. And you grow up in a hurry. I can't believe you were that young, traveling that far with no seats in the back. That's crazy. So this was soul music, R&B music, funk music?
Yes, it was all of it. I mean, we played James Brown, we played Sly and Family Stone, we played Blood, Sweat and Tears, we played Chicago, just all the stuff. I mean, we played Jeff Beck, Stevie Wonder. All this music, because music at that time it wasn't. Life as we know and the music and stuff. There's this segregated and stuff and separate, but music always brought everything and everybody together, no matter what.
Yeah.
So we were a band. We were an interracial band, and we had, everything there. We had the black cats in the band. We had the white cats in the band. We had the Latino guys in the band. It was a wonderful situation. And it was wonderful for me, coming from where I came from, to see that we could get along. And what brought us together was the music. And then when you start talking about growing up, all the common things that were there, so
yes.
What a way.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful thing,
How many piece bands were the, how many piece in the band?
And at that time we used to be the drums, bass, 2 guitars, keys, 2 or 3 horn players, and a vocalist, so like 9 to 10 people. Yeah.
Man,
yeah. So
you're lucky. I've only done that a handful of times in my life, and that's a dream gig for me, to play with horns and to play with a B3 and stuff. Man, that is cool. We got some comments here. It says Trish White here. Rena said hi. I have no idea, obviously.
Oh yeah, hey, yes, that's Renee. Hey Renee, how are you doing? Great drummer, by the way.
Oh
yeah, Renee's a great drummer.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
this is cool. We have some other Gretsch artists actually watching. Mike Fasano is watching, and we also have a great Canadian drummer named Anthony McKelly, fabulous jazz drummer. heavy
Oh, wonderful.
cat from the Toronto
Wow.
area. Yeah, so this is good.
Cool.
Everybody's
Cool.
stoked to see you, my man. So who are some of the drummers that you looked up to in the early Chicago days? And then part two to that question, when did Buddy Miles enter your life?
Okay. Early part of life, growing up, one of the first guys that I encountered who gave me like 3 or 4 drum lessons was this cat named oh God, was Marshall Thompson. He also had a son named Marshall Thompson Jr. who was a drummer, great jazz drummer, and he worked at one of the drum stores there in Chicago. It was the Drums Unlimited, I believe, was the drum store downtown on Wabash. But the guys that after a while, because at the time we really didn't know who a lot of the drummers were playing on the records. You kind of knew who some of the guys were in the bands, but the guys after a while, Joe Morello was one guy, because of Take Five. Of course, Ringo Starr was like a big influence on a lot of guys. But then came turned my head around listening to guys like the guys out of James Brown band,
Yep.
and Dabo and
Yeah.
Clyde Stubblefield. I mean,
Yep.
just totally turn everything around, and they were jazz drummers. It was amazing. Of course, we have Charlie Persett, who was a great drummer. Tony Williams. I got a great story on Tony Williams. I got a chance to play Tony Williams drums in
Yes.
1996 at the Atlanta. The what was it? The what was it? I can't remember right now. But I got a chance to play his drums, and which was like it was amazing. I got a chance to meet him way before that, though. When my son started working on playing drums, he's no longer playing, but he was actually a good drummer. But so yeah, those drummers were absolutely wonderful in the beginning for me. Um, there was a guy, John Glenn Fox in Chicago, who was one of my first guys that showed me a lot of stuff, and he was also the one who turned me on to my first listening to the fusion music. Like Harvey Mason was coming out at that time,
Yeah.
and just all those wonderful bands um, in the early 70s. But I was into all the blues stuff and the R&B
Mm-hmm.
stuff at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like drawing a blank here right now on
You
all the
played
different.
six Olympics, right? It was the '96 Olympics in Atlanta. That's when you had Tony's
Yeah, yeah,
drums.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I needed some drums
Yeah.
at that moment, and Gretch Dinah was so gracious in saying yes, you can borrow those drums. And I mean, they've always been wonderful in that way. I mean,
Yeah.
I would ask
Oh,
a question about something, and like within the next day or two, it's like magic happening. Um,
yes.
and they've been so wonderful. That was actually uh, a wonderful experience playing down there and playing with these historical drums. Um, um, and then what happened, with the bomb going off there, it was just it was really really crazy, really scary at the same time. Woo, yeah, yeah.
But the
So,
drums
but yeah,
were
I got
good.
a chance to play.
You were okay. The drums were fine. Did you actually
Everything
play?
was well. I was playing when it went off. I was underneath the jumbotron, and I felt some of the wind from
Wow.
the impact from when it happened, and I was actually out there by that sound tower, which is where they found the bag. And I was out there an hour before it happened. So the bag could have been there at that time or either afterwards. I don't know. And another, you know, was a movie made about that, the Richard Jewell
Yeah.
story, I think. So
Okay.
there is some footage of us, Jack Mack and a heart attack. Um, 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 this movie that was out. I actually I didn't see the. I'm not seen the movie yet. So, but anyway, yeah, Tony's drums. It was great. It was great. I
Un,
was such a
un,
such a child at the time. It's like, oh my God.
I could
Yeah.
imagine
You asked me about.
being near that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Um, you asked me about some of the drummers out of Chicago. You know, one of the ones I
Yeah.
really remember is Fred Below. It's a great drummer. Did a lot of chess stuff for Chess Records,
Yes.
and we actually played on a record together. I mean, at separate times. I must have been 17, 18 years old at the time, and this young guy from Sweden, his name is Peps, Peps. If you could find this record, I'm on there, and Fred Below. He was with the Myers Brothers, and I was with Mighty Joe Young. And I think I was like the youngest guy on the session, 17, 18 years. I think Peps was probably 19 or 20, maybe 21. And
Wow.
he might be still alive, matter of fact. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that was, you know, an experience. And there was another guy, S.P. Leary, uh, that I
Hmm.
ran into. All the guys would give me advice on things, you know, this, and that, and the other. But my the one who gave me some of the best info on drumming stuff was the great Willie Dixon, like Willie Dixon. And I got a chance to work in his studio and do things, and I actually did some gigs with him. And what a great lesson that was. I mean, this guy, you know, bassist also, and he played an upright bass, so you really had to listen. So it wasn't about really smacking. I mean, you had to be really solid and had to really listen to what was going on. And that was just going to school every day, every night on that one was so wonderful. You know, and playing with all those great musicians in that band. Um, my I think my biggest influence musically, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, was this friend of mine who's deceased now. Morris Dollison Jr. is his name, but he went by the name of Cash McCall. And Cash was
Okay.
another. He was a great guitarist and great songwriter. And we actually wrote a lot of songs. And that song that you were playing, that's Cash singing on that, and we co-wrote that song together. And he just passed away. It'll be 2 years this coming February. And boy, do I miss him a lot. But I was the kind of drummer that I think I really would feed off of the lead vocalist and maybe a guitarist. I mean, I listened to the bass player because I knew what the bass player was doing, and you know, I think back in those days, and still today, if you're playing old school music, it was about the relationship with the bass player and the drummer. You're the rhythm section, and I think I like a lot of the new music today, but the relationship between bass and drums are like really different now. You know, the way they sync or lock up now. Um, that was the other cool thing about jazz music. You know, the way the bass player and the drummer played and held things together. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of that, the Miles Davis's like superstar band with Tony Williams and Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter. I mean, it's just like, man, it's just amazing. It's just amazing how just ding 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 ding, ding, you know, and the bass doing its thing. Great stuff. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what about Buddy Miles? Let's talk about Buddy Miles.
Buddy came into the picture around 68 or 69 when I was with that group, the Aragons, and he was a big influence on that band. And anytime Buddy came to Chicago, I would go see him, probably sitting in the front row someplace. Erie Crown Theater, Buddy Miles Express. And just the sheer power that cat had, you know. And I went to see him, and I looked at his drum kit, and I went, wow, look at that. And he had these tall cymbals, and never seen that before in my life. Like these two tall cymbals. And I was like, wow. So the next day, I went downtown to the drum store, and I said, I just saw this guy a day or two ago, whatever it was, that had these tall cymbals. Do you have anything like that? And they made these extensions that went into my Rogers cymbal stands. So that took them up to like 5, 6 feet. So that's when I started playing back about 68, 69, 70, and with the tall cymbals. And but I loved his sheer power, and the guy could sing his butt off.
Mm.
And just as we used to call, that fat back. I mean, just like scat, whatever he did, it was everything, just amazing. So yeah, Buddy was the thing. And I met him a couple different times. We didn't have any heavy conversations. I just met him, and I told him how much I dug his playing and what he was into. So yeah, Buddy was the cat for me back in those days.
There's nothing like those kinds of plays in front of you. You know what I mean? You can't get that these days. Like
right.
The legends. I mean, we need to go see people like you play that have carried that torch forward. So let me tell you, when things are cool, and when I know that you are anywhere somewhat close to where I'm going to be, I want to go and see you play in person, because there's nothing like going to school from. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. I mean, please do. I mean, I just got a lot of stuff from a lot of different things that I've done, and sometimes you can get a lot of info from people who are non-drummers, and they have these ideas, and sometimes they're crazy, but they're so musical and melodic at the same time. So you take those ideas and you put into this rhythmic thing. So you got this rhythm and melody going on at the same time with the cymbals. But I mean, drums are just not something that you're just beating on. I mean, I do like the fact that I play a little bass guitar, I play a little guitar, I play a little piano, and being able to write. So I'm always thinking of. I mean, it takes me sometimes when I'm writing my own music. It takes me a while to come up with a drum groove, and it may take a day or two, and then it becomes like the simplest thing in the world, because I'm thinking, what can I do to have like this signature thing? And it's like, it's not about that all the time. The signature thing should be the melody that people can remember.
Oh,
if it's a drum part that people remember, then that's cool too, with me. But I try to be the most simplest player in the world, and just groove, just groove. So as George Clinton would say, just have it on the one, baby, on the one. So that's the thing. And I'm a R&B blues player that got into playing with cats like Robin Trower, who comes from an R&B type thing, R&B funk type of thing, Slash from Guns N' Roses, cats like that. Then I go back and I get the other stuff with Shaka Khan, who's like the pop R&B, but she has all this jazz stuff going on also.
Yes.
And then you have somebody like Stevie Wonder. Got a chance to work with him, and oh man, Loggins.
Can we talk about Stevie a little bit here? What was the situation like, and when was that? Where was that?
Stevie Wonder's thing, that was funny situation. I was at home. Can't remember what I was doing. Oh, my son was about to be born, and I was at home,
Awesome.
and I got this call from Nate Watts, the bassist, musical director for Stevie, and it was like, Stevie, won't you come to the studio? Stevie, won't you? And it was like, slow down. What are you talking about? He wants you to come down to the studio because he wants to hear you play and he wants you to do some stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I went down, and a few other cats were there, and started getting later and later and later and later. And it was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and my eldest daughter was staying with someone. And like I said, my son was going to be born the next day, so I had to leave. And my son was born, and this was in 1990. So 1991, I can't remember exactly when, early quarter of 91, I got another call, and um, it was for Stevie Wonder again. And I went, oh boy. So um, I went to the studio, and this was a project that was, we were doing these songs for a Spike Lee movie called Jungle Fever. And so it was a couple songs I played on, These Three Words and Make Sure You're Sure. So we did These Three Words, which is kind of a medium tempo ballad type of thing. So it came out really good, and had my beautiful pink Gretsch drums there,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, they were great. Everybody loved the sounds and everything. So then we went to the next song, and it was just Stevie and I recording together, just myself and the piano, because he had already done the bass part, synthesizer bass on this one particular song. So I was going, oh man, hold on for a second. I asked him to stop, and for me, I wasn't feeling right. So I picked up a pair of brushes. I try to bring the kitchen sink with me. Brushes and mallets and just everything. And I picked up some brushes and we started playing. He says, "Yeah, that feels good." I said, "Yeah, but it still doesn't sound right to me." So I asked him, could we come back tomorrow? Because it was kind of late that evening. And he said, "Sure." So the next day I went to Pro Drums, got a few pairs of brushes that I didn't have, came back, and we nailed it, just the two of us. And came out, and I'm not a brush player, but I had to get something that made it seem like I was a brush player.
That's
And yeah, yeah, I should have called Clayton Cameron to help me out on that one. But yeah, so it worked out really well. So it's really
that's
really
great.
cool working with him. Yeah, and we went to do some TV shows, and one of the ones that was two of the ones that were really memorable for me was doing the David Letterman show, which I think at that time not many drummers were playing on that show, and I kept saying, "Oh, they're not going to let me play," but I got
Yeah.
a chance to play Anton Big's drums, and it wasn't time enough for him to get back up there to play the bumpers to go in and out of
Oh,
the commercial. So I had to do a couple of those. So it was really cool, playing a couple songs with Stevie, playing in and out of the commercials, and so it was really wonderful. And the other memorable show was doing the Oprah Winfrey show, and she hadn't had any acts on like that, so they built all this special stuff, and that came off really well. So yeah, that was some
that is
memorable moments with
that
Stevie.
that is awesome. Gino Mateo Funk had a comment here saying Alvino and I were on tour one time in Belgium, and we were in a record store. I ran around the store showing him records he played on, and Jungle Fever was one of them. How
I
cool!
remember that. Hi, Gino. I
How
remember
awesome
that.
is that?
I
Oh
remember
man.
that.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
right now,
Go
the
ahead.
Gretsch family office Christmas party is on now, and they're tuning in. So, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. Hey,
Everybody there. Really
love
glad
you.
they're watching. Hey, I planned it
Yeah.
that way, Alvin. Yeah,
Oh, did you? Okay, that's good.
you're, you're the
But
you're the
yeah,
entertainment.
um, yeah. It's been a really wonderful life here doing that. One of the other things I want to talk about, I mentioned the band LTD that I was
Yeah.
in, and that was, man, that was like I don't even know the words. I'm getting cold chills here. Was a great time in my life. That pushed me into songwriting. It pushed me into producing, arranging, and all this stuff. Because I kind of was doing that when we were doing other stuff at Chess and Terramar back in the day. But when I got with the band, they asked me, did I write? And I was like, yeah. And I had written a song back in 1970, 71 in Texas. And I was by the name of Share My Love. And I got in the band in 78. And in 79, we recorded the song. And the song was a wonderful, mild hit. I don't know how big the song had become, because when you're doing stuff like that, you're always traveling. You really don't have a chance to see what's really going on all the time.
Right.
And the cool thing about that is there were two other drummers in the band, but they didn't work
Wow.
playing drums at the time. Jeffrey Osborne, who was the lead vocalist, was the drummer when LTD had started out. Then they got a cat named Melvin Webb, who was a great friend of mine. Rest his soul. He was the one who turned me on to the situation. He called me up and said they were auditioning drummers. And Billy Osborne, who's Jeffrey's big brother, was a great jazz drummer. And so, it's like when I got into it, I said, well, who's going to play on what and how and when and so on and so forth? And they both look at me and says, you're the drummer. And I'm going like,
Cool.
oh boy. So yeah, so you got these two guys, in the other room looking at you, and I'm going like, okay, I'm what do I do here? What? And pretty much a lot of the decisions as far as the drum parts that's on those records that I played on the LTDs were my ideas. And a couple of times, and Billy or the Jeff might say, well, if you do this, you do that, and so on and so forth. That would happen. Billy was really cool at it. Billy, if you're watching, man, love you. We had really wonderful discussions about drumming, and he was, like I said, he was a jazz drummer, bebop, and all that stuff. We'd talk about all the old guys from back in the day, and I would go over his place and listen to the records, and it was just wonderful, just wonderful. But like I said, I'm the R&B blues pop drummer, with a little rock in there. But I never really change up on what I'm doing to kind of to if it's something real heavy, I just still play the same thing. I might use some different cymbals or something, or a different snare drum, but
Right.
I just try to approach all of it musically, So yeah.
When did you start playing Gretsch drums? I know they had been perhaps on the periphery, but when did you actually start playing Gretsch?
Endorsing or playing?
Well, let's do both. So maybe playing, and then how long have you been an endorser? It's been a minute, right?
Yes, it's over 35 years, maybe going to almost 40. Actually, let me
Wow.
see. It's not 40. I've been playing Gretsch drums exclusively since 1985, I believe. I think it's 85, 86.
Woo!
Yeah, it's been a
Me too.
long time, and yeah, see, and it's just been so wonderful. It's so wonderful. I mean, what a consistent drum. Never had any problems. No matter what drum head, whatever weight, I get a great sound. You know, like I said earlier, my first time hitting some Gretsch drums was like late 60s, early 70s, like 70, 71. And then again in 1970, 76 or 77, had this huge rock kit, like 26-inch kick drums and like a 13 and 16 and 18. And I was like, wow. I'm not a double double bass player, but I had it there just for the looks for this band I was in. And then many years later, I always used them. I used them in the studio with LTD. I wasn't endorsing them, but I had them in the studio. Some of the cartridge companies that I used back in the day, of course, they had them. Paul Jameson, Harry McCarthy from Drum Paradise, and Ross from Drum Doctor. They all had the Gretsch drums, and a lot of guys back in the day would use the Gretsch. Jeff Porcaro, people like that, Vinnie Colaiuta, they would have them. Steve Ferroni, all these guys played the Gretsch drums. Yeah. Another one of my brothers there.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know. I love the drums. I'm using these heads here. What are they? Here, I'll show you. Hold on. I'm using. They're probably backwards right here, but the aquariums.
Yep.
On the drums, and it sounds so great. I'm using no tape whatsoever, which is wonderful. And if I want that sound, I can. But they have these little devices that you put on to deaden the sound. But and the way that we tune the drums, we kind of just barely put the heads on to get the sound that we get when we're out on the road. They're just, everything is consistent all the time. I have no problems with anything. They're great. They're great drums. I mean, what can I say about it? I just got this new
yes,
new broadcasters.
Look at that.
Yeah.
What size is
So
that?
beautiful. That's a 10-inch. That's like
10.
an 810 or something like that. Yeah. So I got the new kit, and the whole kit they customized for me. This beautiful color here. I think it's like an ice blue, and the kick drum is like 14 by 22 and a center lug. And I wanted to go back old school because my first drum kit, the Red Sparkle kit, had center lug. The tom tom was center lug, and of course the snare drum was center lug. So they made my wish come true. Thank you so much, Gretch. I appreciate it so much. We will have them out on the road next year.
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah, and they sound great. I mean, I just kind of been tapping them and had them set up and stuff. I'm going to do some recording with them and find the right combination of heads that I'm gonna what I want to put on there. They're usually heavy heads. So yeah.
What's the
So
size of the full kit? So there's a 10 and the 22. What else is in there?
no, it's a 24. It's 14 by 24.
24.
So it's, yeah, I love big bass drums. So we have 10, 13. So we have sitting behind the drums, it's 13, 10, 14, and 16.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So no 12.
And
so
there
no 12. Why no 12?
No 12. Well,
Okay.
I just have this thing about 3-inch intervals right now on certain drum kits. I have this other kit, like my rock and roll drum kit, John Bonhamish sort of. There's a 12, a 15, and an 18 tom-toms. And the kick drum is a 26, 14 by 26. So the 3-inch intervals, which makes it a little bit wider with the sound. It's a little bit bigger. They're not real close together. I'm not one who's like tuning in fourths or thirds or anything like that. It's just wherever the drum really wants to be is where I tune it. And of course it's going to descend because of the size of the drum. Unless you want to tune them all the same. So I tune the drum where it really wants to be, and then the next drum where it wants to be, but lower than the next one. But yeah, I'm kind of into this 3-inch interval right now. If I go out with just 2 toms, it'd be a 13 on top and a 16 on the floor for the floor, with a 24-inch kick drum. Man,
that'd be thunderous. How tall are you?
Go ahead.
You look like you're you're tall.
I,
Are
I'm
you
only
very
six.
tall?
I'm only 6'1". I'm only 6'1", and I'm shrinking as I get older.
Well, with a picture of
But
you and Dinah and Lena, you look like you're 6'12", because they
no,
must
no,
not
I'm
be.
only six. No, you should see my son is like 6'7" to 6'8", something like that. But
Wow.
and my cymbals are up really high, and they're like almost 6 feet high. But it's not a long reach. It's really not a long reach. I sit up kind of high, not real high, but I sit pretty much even with the kick drum. So 24
Wow.
to 26 inches high. Yeah, yeah. But and that, like I said, I got that look from Buddy Miles, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. It's been really wonderful ride, man. It's been really cool, you know, riding with Gretch, and I love these things.
Have
Yes.
you have you played the broadcasters before? Were you pretty well a USA
No,
Custom
no.
player? And so,
I've been doing the USA Custom and the Classic. The last
Mhm.
kit that we've had on the road for the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years with Dave Mason have been the Renowns, and I was really nicely surprised with those. We also
yes.
went out years ago. If anybody doesn't know, I've been playing with Dave Mason for the last 17 years.
Wow.
But yeah, I know it's quite a while. We have been having the Renowns out, and one of the tours we were doing like an acoustic thing, and I was talking to Dinah about it, and she asked me, have I looked at the Catalinas? I went, oh no, and they had this really cool little kit, and it's like a 16-inch kick drum, and you can open it up. It spreads open, and you could drop
Okay.
the mic in between the kick drum or in the front. So it was like the 16-inch kick drum. I think it was like a 10-inch tom and maybe a 13-inch floor tom,
Yeah.
and a regular 14-inch snare drum. And man, those drums kicked, but I was so scared because of the way I play sometimes that the bass drum was going to explode. You know? I says, I don't know if enough air is getting through here, you know. But they're great drums, and love them. And I use them every now and again on certain things, you know, kind of like if you want to kind of do like a little hip hop kind of a thing, that tight little drum sound, you know, and you can do some EQing and compressing and get some really cool stuff, or triggering if you want to. So yeah, yeah. But those are all the things that, you know, the Catalina, the Classic, the USA Custom, and now, you know, the broadcasters, and you know, they have this 301 hoop, which is like really interesting, and if you can see, like they have, you know, they're like claws
Yeah.
on the yeah,
Cool,
they're
baby.
like
Yeah.
claws. Yeah, so it's really interesting. It's going to be really cool to really get in and to have a 14 by 24 or 24 by 14. I mean, it's like, wow, it's going to be so
That's.
cool.
I can't wait to
Yeah, I
hear
think,
what you.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I want to
I'm
hear.
looking for it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to probably, I don't know what I want to do as far as the kick drum. I don't know what I'm going to do, like, you know, felt strips or small pillow, or one of the things I had been doing at one time, uh, if I had problems with, uh, you know, some of the noises that you may get out of tom toms, I would take 4 or 5 pieces of cotton balls and throw in the tom tom, or the floor tom, and it actually works. You hit the drum and they hit the jump and they come back and it's done, you know.
Yes,
So yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. I
So
have that in
yeah,
my
man.
renowned kit.
Yeah,
I this
yeah, yeah.
that they come here. They love watching the cotton balls bounce up and down in the tent and the 12. They think it's
It's
hilarious. It's
so
like a
cool, right?
popcorn machine, right?
Exactly,
That
exactly,
is that is
exactly.
amazing. Why have
Yeah.
people called you so consistently for 45 plus years or 50 years? What is it about Alvino Bennett's backbeat and your playing? What is it about what you do that allows you to work as much and with as broad a cast of characters as you have?
Um, I think one of the things is probably uh, I listen.
Mm.
I'm laughing because yeah, right. Um, uh, um, I'm very opinionated, really. No, I don't know. I really don't know. It's just so I don't know. I really don't know. God, you would have to ask them. I don't know what it I don't know what
Oh,
it is. I mean,
your prime,
I look
your time, your groove, your sound, you're easy to get
well, yeah.
along with.
That's one of the things I've been working on for years and years. One of the first people that brought that to my attention, I mean, they didn't really get on my case about it, was the group the Aragons, because they got money together to send me to the drum teacher, to the jazz guy, and it was just thinking about time. It wasn't bad. It was just think about it even more. Um,
Mm, that's great.
I got a chance to work with the great late Charles Stepney, who was the producer for Earth, Wind, and Fire back in the early days. And we had discussions about it. I did some sessions for him. And when I got with LTD, that was another, the thing that Billy Osborne and I talked about a lot. And I worked on that. And it was about not being afraid to work with a click track or a metronome or a drum loop or a machine or whatever it was. And I actually, when I'm working by myself here at home, I use the click track all the time. And
Yeah.
even when I'm on the road, I'll get my telephone. I have like a couple apps that are metronomes, and during the show, I'll just set it there and play, and I'll just kind of look over at it and go, "Oh, okay." I've only gone up like one or two numbers, maybe three, if I get real excited, never going below where it is, but sometimes getting excited, of course. But um, I don't know. I really don't know why I've gotten calls to, over the 40 something years. Sometimes it's because people have heard that you work with someone else and they want a little flavor, a little taste of that. And that's real cool. I mean, just the list of people I've worked with. Um, the LTD thing. So people was like, well, he knows how to play with a big band with horns and all this stuff going on, the choreography and and it's not getting in the way of anything, not trying to take a spotlight or anything, just being that glue. It's like Cash used to tell me years ago. He said, Vino, you're like the you're like the quarterback. You're the quarterback. You're holding everything together. You're the cat. I mean, I'm not a sports person. I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. But okay, I'm not that cat. you know. Okay, I'm the cat. Okay, that's what I do. And so I've always had that in the back of my head. I'm the cat who got to hold everything together. So I don't have time, and I never went out to try to be the guy with all these, the razzle and dazzle chops and all that stuff. Still to this day, I mean for myself, it doesn't work. I mean, I try stuff and it just doesn't come off. I'm not that kind of cat. And maybe that's why. It's probably other reasons why. I work on and try to be, and I want to be. I guess I have been, the team player, that's in there with everybody, and uh, yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, this is what you need. This is what you want. Sometimes it's just that one project, and then that's it. I remember when I worked with Robin Trower. I worked with Trower for about 5 years, and did two records with him. And after that, like when I got back to LA, all the guitar guys around, it's like, hey man, you got to come and do this. You got to come and do that. You got to come and play. You know, if it's just one song, it's like, but what do you want me to play? Even when I got with Trower, it was like, what do you want me to do? I mean, I thought it was going to be some like fusion or something like that. I'm not that kind of a place. Says, no, I want you to play what you play. I want you to play the Motown, the Tamla, the Stax, that feel. You know, because Robin and I played together with Brian Ferry, and
Wow.
that was a that was a very interesting gig. And Steve Ferrone had been there before me, so I was like, and another drummer that I like also besides Steve was Andy Newmark. So both of those
Oh,
guys were there. So I had to, and I didn't intentionally do it, but you know, I guess in the back of my head subconsciously, I was thinking, okay, Steve just like this. I mean, he just lays it, man. And Andy will lay it, but he would go off and do some fills and do some other little funky little syncopate. So I had to try to work on being both of those at the same time. And Brian complimented me on that, said that you got you got the best of those both worlds. I was like, cool, because I love both of those guys. You know, they both of them are just amazing players. You know,
mm-hmm.
so I think that's one reason why you come in, you're that guy, and whoever played on the record, you got to do some of that. You're not going to be that person, of course, you know,
Right.
but you know, some of it. So that's what I've been. I've been like after LTD, I became the quintessential side guy, side man, drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it means being a chameleon and doing that stuff. Um, Two of the people that well, not two, but a couple guys that I listened to, Steve Jordan and Jim Keltner. I listened to what they would do, and they're playing all kinds of stuff. I mean, Keltner's like a jazz drummer, man, but
Yeah.
he comes in with the stuff and kills it, nails it. And Steve Jordan, I mean, what did we say about him? But another cat, James Gatson, it's like,
Um,
whoa, playing on all these wonderful records, you know, and um, yeah, it's just listen to all these guys and playing with these different artists that they've recorded with. So that means now I got to go play your drum groove. You know, when I was playing with
uh,
Shaka, I had to do, you know, all of Steve Ferrone's drum parts, you know, playing with Stevie, you know, playing like Raymond Pound's drum parts, you know, and it's just amazing, you know, doing that. So I guess that's why.
that is
Making
why.
people comfortable. Yeah, making them feel comfortable. That the drummer that they had originally before me, who played on the record, coming in and going, okay, I'm not that person. So what do I do here? So I have to become the chameleon. I have to make them really comfortable. You know, that means like, you know, leaving the ego at the door. And then when you make them comfortable, then you start bringing in yourself. You know, if you can, if you're there long enough, then you bring in yourself at some point. You
Right.
do things, and I did. I started bringing in my early R&B elements from growing up in Chicago, because I used to play for a lot of singing groups in Chicago. They were actually gang members who were vocalists, you know, wanted to sing, and this was during the early Motown years of the Temptations and the Four Tops. So, you know, there was, like I said, there was being aware of so many different things, you know, how they would dance and how they would sing, and you had to be quiet, you had to use dynamics and this and that. And so, yeah, so that's being the chameleon, just, you know, once again, listening to everything and everybody, what's going on.
Man,
Um, yeah, yeah, I
we,
think that's
we
some of it.
yeah, we've scratched the surface. I'm looking at the list of folks here that we didn't even get to. So perhaps in
Okay.
2021 sometime we will do a part two, and we will talk about Minnie Riperton, Kenny Loggins, Little
Oh, yeah.
Richard,
Oh, yeah.
Cheryl Lynn, Shaka Khan, Patrice Rushen, Coco Taylor.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
at least another hour right there. So
I'm, I'm there.
what does the future look like for you over the next little while?
Um, well, I was supposed to have been getting married December 31st. And we're gonna put a hold on that for right now because we want to invite a lot of people. My mom and Dinah says Dinah Gretsch says she was going to come. So we have to wait. We have to wait. So I'm
Wow.
looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to putting my project out. We're going to be doing uh, for each song. We're going to be doing some videos. So my fiance Laura is going to help me put that together. She's going to do some scripting for me. We're going to do some camera
Yeah.
stuff with that. So yeah, that's what's coming up. I think I'm not sure when we're going to go on the road with Dave Mason. Um, um, I've seen some dates for April, but I'm not sure right now with this coronavirus thing. I'm really skeptical
Yeah.
myself on that one. But that's music, music. Doing videos for the music, finishing this project. I mean, I got this wonderful record that I'm doing. It's kind of like R&B based. On this record here, I'm going to be playing drums. I'm still playing a lot of the instruments on it, but I'm doing drums on this. And the last one, I just did hand percussion. I got some couple great vocals right now. Gerald Johnson, who's a great bassist, is
Mm.
singing. I got Jonathan McEwen on it, and a few other people. I think I may have James Gatson may do something for me also. We talked about it a little bit. So yeah, yeah. Hey Herman, how you doing? It's a friend of mine from Maywood. So yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
And I tell you, it's a pleasure to see you face to face and to hear a little bit of your journey. I appreciate you taking the time. I really do. And where can people find you on the web if they want to get in touch with you?
I don't have a website yet. We're going to be doing all of that stuff within the next year. You can always find me on uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is that the
Yeah,
timer?
no, close
They can
enough.
always find me on Facebook and here on Instagram also. And we could communicate from there, you know. But yeah, I know I have to catch up with the times and do my website and stuff. So it's about time, for the old man to do that. So yeah, I wish we could have gotten to more stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. A lot of people I want to talk about the projects that I'm producing.
Hmm.
I do have to mention that a couple of things. I was one of the producers on this record. I think it's going to be have some Grammy thing going on with it. The the record that I did with Alex Dixon, who's Willie Dixon's grandson, and it's called the Real McCoy. That's out now, and I work with this young guy named Anthony Collins, who's a great guitarist.
Wow.
People probably know him by the Fallbrook Kid. So we're beginning to work on a project besides my own stuff. I got like I said, that going on, and probably the road stuff will come on sometime next year. I'm not sure. So I'm always doing something musically here at the house,
Yeah,
and so yeah, yeah.
great to
Thank you
hear.
so
I
much.
wish you all the
Appreciate
best.
it, Neil.
Thank you so much. But seriously, we will do a part two of Alvino Bennett, and we will talk about the things we didn't get to
Yeah,
talk about. This is what happens when you have a career as
let's do.
massive as you and a past as long as
Oh
yours.
man,
So
yeah.
I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Thank
everything,
you.
all the best.
You
You stay healthy,
you
and
too.
we will be
Yeah.
back in January the 8th for our next guest. So stay tuned, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy, be good, and have a great holiday. Take care, everybody.
All right, love, big time love. All right.
Bye, Alvin.